Well, directly, let's get you the pictures that are now coming in. Marco Rubio, who has landed in India now, and he's in Kolkata. And this is going to be his first and official visit that we are looking at. Of course, later in the day, there are engagements with Prime Minister Modi and next with the External Affairs Minister. But we are looking at his current engagements while being in Kolkata. So the Missionaries of Charity, as far as which is known for the work of Mother Teresa, is something that he is now currently holding his engagements there, and he is participating in a tour of the Mother House in Kolkata. And then later in the day, he is expected also to visit the children's home. And then later will be departing for the national capital. So first stop has been to Kolkata. And of course, when it comes to the official engagements are concerned, there you can see the pictures that are now coming in. Mayank, who's also with us right now. Mayank, the engagements that we are looking at, of course, the live pictures that are now coming in. Missionaries of Charity, the Mother House is something which is now he is beginning with his first event participation.
Interestingly, this time the number of cities has risen as far as the visit of Marco Rubio is concerned, and primarily the such kind of high-profile visit used to be limited to Delhi only, or to an extent, Mumbai was also included. But this time, Kolkata and other cities are also there. Having said that, it is also important part of the diplomatic moves which are being made. The other part is actually to message out the views of Americans or US side to masses and intellectuals of the other cities also. That's an important part of the kind of moves which are being made by US to bring down the tensions which had been prevailing in India and the US. Also to bring out their sides and communicate it to the people about their aspects of the international affairs and the way the bilateral relations have shaped up between the two nations. Important would be the Delhi visit, because lots of things are lined up, which includes the Quad meeting. So, this is that we can interpret it in this way, the way the things are moving ahead, and his visits are stacked up in different cities.
Yes, but in about a decade, we are looking at a US Secretary of State visiting India, and other cities are also, lined up where his diplomatic tour will continue. But Kolkata marks his first stop of his itinerary. And this visit also is being seen to be politically and historically significant as well. And now it is also coming at a time, interestingly, Mayank, when there is a new government in place in West Bengal. Of course, it's a BJP government which has now been sworn in.
Yeah. Interestingly, yes, because BJP has recently won the election there, and Kolkata has been also seen the city of intellectuals also, and lots of art and literature has been coming out from that side. From that perspective also, we can see Marco Rubio is seen to be communicating their side of things actually to the intellectuals there, and apart from visiting the other sides. So amidst this, all the kind of moves which the US is making to bring down the kind of tensions between India, this can also be seen.
His itinerary is being viewed diplomatically as significant and also symbolic. The emphasis on Kolkata, especially because this is, Mayank, one of the oldest centers of US diplomatic presence also in India.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the way we can see that the mission there and the consulate there would have already lined up the kind of meetings between the various people and dignitaries that side, who will carry the messages which will come from the US side. So it is to penetrate the US side, the messages and connotations and interpretations of the US on larger issues, and the way they can communicate their side of things to the intellectuals and the dignitaries in Kolkata. That we can interpret from this kind of lined up meetings which are there.
Yes, so we are looking at the pictures currently that are now coming in from Kolkata, and of course what's on the table, that is also something which we are going to talk about at length. But let's in the meantime talk about when it comes to the very inclusion that has been given to Kolkata, being the first place that he lands in India. This is his maiden visit as Secretary Rubio is participating in the tour of Mother House in Kolkata, India. So let's in the meantime also talk about, Kolkata that signals Washington's growing strategic and economic focus, especially when it comes to Eastern and Northeastern India, and that too also within the Indo-Pacific framework. So what's going to be on the agenda? Because this is something which has now been looked upon as a reset of ties between India and the United States of America. So this is the top envoy of President Trump who currently is in India. So mission of resetting the ties. And of course, when it comes to the tariffs, Pakistan's outreach, the continuous praises that have been coming in, especially when it comes to the closeness that President Trump is now attaching to their field marshal, then Trump's mediation credit that he seems to be talking about brokering peace between India and Pakistan, the conflict that happened last year. And of course, India's continuous engagement with its long ally and a very close friend, which is Russia. So that is something which US now wants to, improve ties with India, because here India cannot be ignored. Yes, President Trump is now China just few days ago, but as far as a strategic partner is concerned, India continues to remain one. Now, what has now been said as far as Marco Rubio's agenda is concerned, especially when we speak of the energy sector. Now, US wants to sell energy, all of the energy that it wants and how much energy that India is willing to buy. And this is also coinciding on a day, Mayank, where fuel prices in India have been hiked for this third straight time. So now as far as fuel, energy, and of course, when it comes to resetting of ties and the pictures that have been coming in, I mean, Sergio Gore is also someone as an ambassador who has made that job a bit easier, especially when it comes to turning into a bridge for reset of ties between India and the United States.
Definitely. Interestingly, today in the post, as Marco Rubio will be landing to Delhi, there are other meetings and engagements which are also lined up. And it is with that regard only, as you have already interpreted things. Importantly, there are other things, as you have already brought out. Quad is going to be a really significant part because, it was supposed to be held last year, but it has been postponed for this year. And let's see how its significance will be salvaged. I'm using this term deliberately because in the first term of President Donald Trump, he had given lots of significance to Quad, to be seen as one of the important India and that multinational four-nation grouping, Australia, Japan, including besides India and US, into that. And it was seen as an important grouping for Indo-Pacific as far as it is concerned. So the way the things have shaped up between China and US, I mean, we need to watch it in a way and understand the way US is going to interpret its views on this Quad significance. So not only that, I mean, there are other aspects like transfer of technology, because engine has been something which is very important for India's defense independence is concerned. And GE was one of the engines which was to be supplied from US side. There had been some kind of a roadblock, maybe. But then the things from US they had communicated that it is because of supply chain issues that it had come up. Because on one side, Russia and Ukraine they were fighting between each other. There was a war there. So that is also an important part, because transfer of technology, transfer of equipments, and what kind of equipments, I mean, and multinational nations, groupings and all, these all things are on the plate to be discussed.
But what needs to be highlighted here, Mayank, is what a difference that a year can make. I mean, if in April 2025, US-India relations appeared to be solid as they had ever been. I mean, India rolled out the red carpet for Vice President J.D. Vance and his family, the visit that highlighted, not just the strength of bilateral relationship, but also a degree of personal warmth as well. And then before that, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to President Trump in White House that happened in February. So this is all happening in a span of a year. But why this particular visit is significant, let's talk about that. Because this is signaling of India's geopolitical importance there. This is something which America cannot ignore. Then there are trade tensions, the tariffs. And there has been, again, a lot of back and forth on that front. India, in particular, had witnessed one of the steepest hikes and then a withdrawal. That also needs a lot of repair work. Then when it comes to the energy security, which is also very important, looking at the current geopolitical situation and how India has also been affected because of that. So a recalibration to that effect is needed. And when it comes to the other cities that he will be visiting, he's currently in Kolkata, then in the national capital, then it's going to be Jaipur and Agra. So that seems to be a broader diplomatic outreach is something which we are now looking forward to as far as Marco Rubio's visit is concerned. So, Mayank, coming back on that very front, what all has happened in a year? Because is he now finding India and the foreign policy establishment as a messenger from President Trump to be a little more wary of the United States than any other time this century that we're looking within a span of the year? A lot of ups and downs that has been faced.
Very important, Amita, because it is also, this visit of Marco Rubio is also seen as one of the initiatives to approach, or rather to bring the tensions down between India and US, both together. And it has a background, because Operation Sindoor was something which was launched by India a year back, and the way the things had shaped up between India and Pakistan, it was really bad. And then you suddenly see the kind of profile which was of Pakistan rising as far as diplomatic aspect, and then the kind of meetings which were held in White House between the field marshal there, which is Asim Munir, and the way the Pakistan's profile and mediation between now again West Asia. See, West Asia has affected India badly, because in terms of the cost of living is really, I mean, that has come out because of the stoppage, hindrance in supplies of fuel and energy from that side. Not only fuel and energy, but then chemicals, urea,
yes,
and lots of other things are there which have created issues for India. The other point is actually the way the fuel, the tariffs were raised on
yes,
India, put on
yes,
India, because India-Russia relations were also a lot of things to about supplies of fuel in that case also.
yes,
And India had to stop its lots of supplies as far as energy is concerned. Not more, I mean, completely they have stopped
something
it, but
that US wanted to build pressure on India, but that hasn't worked somehow. But as far as when it comes to boosting of strategic ties, is now we are looking at as far as Marco Rubio's visit to India is concerned. Mayank, we'll reconnect. Thank you very much for the moment for joining in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about timesnownews.com, this is how the homepage currently now looks like. And when it comes to the updating stories that we are getting for our viewers, of course, when it comes to Marco Rubio now landing in Kolkata, in India, and this is what we are now looking at as the world waits for the most consequential deal. Marco Rubio now lands in India, and of course, when it comes to his itinerary, the visit, and why it matters and the significance that it holds, because later in the day, he's also expected to call on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Then there are engagements with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting. And of course, when it comes to his visit to Jaipur and Agra, holds a lot of symbolic importance as well. All of that and much more updates, you can, log in to timesnownews.com, and you can read the exclusive articles that are now being updated constantly as we speak on his itinerary. That is the US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. In the meantime, we head into a very short break. You're watching Times Now.